How's it going? My name is Hoiman, and these are my first 3 books. So the story is about a man named Dag and his battle with mental health, and it just talks about his struggles with depression, anxiety, and OCD, and sorts of things that he does to tackle them, such as like taking medication, specific rituals and stuff. But on top of that, as well as Dag living in room 8 of an apartment, there's also a murder that occurs there. And this just spirals down with the character investigating who committed the crime, searching for clues, questioning the various residents of the apartment, and then he also finds out information on the black organization and has to confront them and discover what their intentions are. So overall, it's about a man trying to uncover the truth about the murders and the organization, but at the same time battling with his own mental health during the process. And this story does go throughout the course of 3 books. And overall, it does go to quite extensive places and locations. Because I suffer with mental health and depression myself, I just wanted to kind of express myself through writing and how I deal with it myself. And rather than just writing like a biography about myself, I wanted to kind of express it in a more creative way. So that's what led me to Room 8. And that's why a lot of things that the character experiences in the book are quite personal to my own experiences and how I tackle them. So that's kind of where it drew my inspiration to writing this book. As well as my own mental health for inspiration, I also drew a lot of inspiration from various other media such as video games like Hotel Dusk and Last Window, Ace Attorney, and then from movies such as Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. When designing the main character, I wanted to design quite a large character with quite a strong sort of presence. So this is actually the very first concept art when drawing the character. And so I basically put the physique into his arms to show that he's a strong person with like a strong build. And because he suffers from mental health, I wanted to give like sort of little cracks here and there to show sort of a weaker side of him. At first, I was going to make him roughly around 20 years old, but then the thought occurred to me that in most media that you see, the main character is always between the ages of 17 to 23 maybe. And I wanted to have a character that was a bit older, so just to like kind of make things a bit more interesting, I guess. So that's what led me to sort of age the character into his 50s. And this is actually a design that I used later in the story. Like this was just like a rough sort of concept that I had for the character. And then to make him fit more into the style of my story, I decided to give him more of a like casual and modern look. So I gave him like the shirt and tie and sort of made him look less angry as well. So I still kept the physique of him looking very strong with a bold personality, but at the same time he has difficulties and problems going inside his head. And this is at the same time when I designed his best friend as well. And this is actually the image that I used in the end for the front cover of the first book as well. And then when it came to designing the other characters from the story, I sort of like already planned out what kind of role each character would have and sort of had a rough idea what they would look like in my head. But I sketched them out in concept first anyway. and then I can see if there's any design changes that I can add or change and such. And this is a character who had a very drastic change in the story. At first he was going to be on wheels, rolling around on the ground, but then during the story I decided to make him levitate instead, so this character has probably had the most drastic change in terms of design. And then here you can see more process on how I designed the characters, so I kind of drew out various parts of the characters, clothing, different eyes, and deciding which one to go with in the end. And this character I had quite a lot of difficulty in designing because I wanted to create quite a sleek and luxurious and posh looking character, but I had a lot of ideas going around how I could express that in my head, that a lot of designs ended up conflicting with each other in the end, like all the different types of hairs just sort of battling against each other, and the clothing as well. But in the end, this is the design that I kind of settled with. And then this is a sort of final concept art of the main character, but in the end I wasn't too happy with how it turned out, so I kind of redrew him again, and this is what ends up being the main artwork of the main character. And for the art style of this book, I decided to do it in like a trace sort of form. So I first drew out the main frame of the body, and then I sort of slowly just added all the lines and details, and then rather than just like pen it out directly onto the page, I decided to add some tracing paper and then trace over on top, and then also do some pencil shading. But I wanted to keep all the framework and lines sort of blending into the background of the illustration. I just feel that it adds more intricate sort of pattern to it, and then also shows sort of how I created the character from the ground up. And this is the luxurious character that I mentioned before, so this is his final look in art. Another character that you can see the process of how I designed the character as well, like all the different eyes, the clothing and stuff. This was quite an interesting character to design as well, because it actually took me a while to decide if I wanted to add sort of alien sort of characters, and in the end I decided to, because I thought it would kind of make things a bit more interesting and sort of add more character to each different character and their designs. So this one is the Rezel in the story, and I had quite a lot of fun designing him, like designing a one-eyed alien and then giving him like very intricate sort of design and clothing, the one lens spectacle I gave him, and then this is the final artwork of another character, and then this is the main character's best friend in final look and design as well. And then this was the alien character I was mentioning. You can see all the intricate clothing choices and the very unusual designs and the robotic leg and stuff. But overall I just find this design quite interesting. And one of the more early characters I designed in final form. And then I went on to design the next character with all the different parts and clothing. And then this is the final design of him in the end. Same with this character. You can see I tried different eyes, different sort of footwear, the pattern on a hat. And again, this is her final design. And like the main character, I decided to make all the illustrations have the same sort of effect and style. Now this is the robot character I was mentioning that was originally on wheels, but then I turned him into levitation instead, so you can see the very drastic sort of change that he went through. another early character that I designed in his final form. And like the alien character, this is another character which has wings and stuff, so she's another alien race, and I was just going through all the different designs that I could go through about her. And this was originally meant to be her final look, but in the end I wasn't too happy with how it turned out. So I redrew her again, and this is the final look that she has. Another alien character, and this time it's a very large rockish like character. Again, like, because her backstory is like she's from the sea and stuff, I wanted to add things like a broken fishing rod and a helm on her back, just kind of add that sort of sea sort of history with the character. And this is her final look in the end. And then this is another drawing that I did, which becomes quite a crucial part in the story. So this is the main character, how he appears in the second book. And I don't want to go into too many spoilers or anything, but you can see like there are some design changes and stuff. And as I showed earlier, this is actually more based on his very early concept, so that's why he has the sword and stuff. And because I like the design a lot, I wanted to kind of make it lead into this sort of look for the character. So, and then you have other characters that I designed for the second book, and again I went for the same sort of style by having tracing paper on top. This is actually a character who's from the first book, but originally he didn't really have any face to him, because like he wasn't going to be like a sort of main character. But in the end I decided to turn him into an actual main character because he is quite vital and important to the story. So that's why drawing him out was quite late in development. More characters from the second book. Because the second book is much more based on action and stuff, a lot of the characters are kind of dressed differently and have weapons and stuff, so that's why it's quite a shift in character design from the first to the second. This is the character that I drew out but wasn't too happy with how it turned out, so I redid it, and this is the final look that she has in the book. And then when designing the title for the book, I wanted to have the main character's silhouette with the title, and then this is like the main sort of outline I did for the first book. So you can see it's the main character's silhouette, as well as his friend as well, which has the main silhouette, and this is the part that ends up being on the cover of the first book as well. This is actually a character that I originally intended to have in the second book, but due to like conflicting sort of characters, this character ended up being cut, and she even had like an alter form as well. But overall this character was cut entirely, and currently I don't really have any plans for this character, but you never know. And then these are more character designs for the second book. So to keep along with the aliens in the world, this one's based on the rats and stuff, so you can see all the like rough sort of clothing and the small details around him. And then this is another rat character as well. You can also see all the different types of clothing and the intricate belts and stuff. And then the same species as the first one with the first alien. You can see he's got the one eye again, but he's much more battle ready just because of the tone of the second book. And more characters for the book. Another rock character. This one's quite interesting because this character was inspired from oil wrestling. I just happened to catch a match of it on TV, and I just thought it was quite an interesting concept overall, so that's how I sort of brought that inspiration into this character's design. And then I made sure to include all those different terms of oil wrestling into the story as well. And then this is the design of the main character again, but this is how he appears in the third book. Looking from his first design to this, it's quite a big change, but all that is explained in the books. And this is actually the outline that I drew of the main character's second look for the cover of the second book. So like the first outline I drew for the title, I wanted to evolve the title and what the character looks like currently. So this is where this outline of him comes in. This is also the main image that makes up the second cover. And these are the various enemies that you encounter in the second book. These are some accessories that the main character acquires as well. And then more enemy designs, and this is a diagram of the layout in the second book. More enemy designs. And now we're going into the characters from the third book. So I stick with the alien sort of species, and this one's based on the walrus. And this is actually a character from the first book which makes a return in the third. Again, he looks quite different than he appears in the first. This design is based on a platypus, and he's like the doctor. And then this is a returning character from the second book, looking quite different. Another returning character from the second book. This is when I decided to design a mascot for my books. So I wanted to create sort of a cute and sort of puffy, cuddly and memorable sort of character. So he only makes a brief encounter, and then this was quite intricate design, like with all the different lines, working out which part goes where and stuff. But overall I found this one quite fun to draw. This character is based on Chinese culture, which is something that's quite close to my heart, and that is the Bean Lean Act. Because I've always enjoyed that sort of culture in Chinese, I wanted to design a character around that concept and include into the book. And then this is another returning character from the first book. Same with this character. And this character, because the third book is all about wrapping up the entire story, that's why there's a lot of returning characters to sort of come back and just kind of wrap everything up really. And this is quite a main character that occurs in the story. And then another returning character. And then this is actually the diagram for the layout in the third book. So it's got all the intricate linings and stuff. It took a while to draw, but I think overall it was quite fun. And then this is the final look of the ship that appears in the third book. Some locations in the book. And then this is quite a vital character that appears. And like the first two covers for the title, I again updated it to what the character currently looks like. So this is the main outline that appears, as well as this part here that follows him in the title. So if you're interested in this book and like to find out more about mental health and stuff, you can purchase all three of these books in the description below, and you can get it both in paperback or Kindle. So if you're interested, please have a try. I'd really appreciate it. And finally, I'd like to leave you with the main theme for these books. I'm in no way saying that I'm a professional musician or anything, and my knowledge in music is actually quite limited. But I do know how to play the piano a bit, and I like to compose my own themes, so I decided to compose a theme for these books. And it's more of a theme to go with the main character really, so it's quite sad sounding, but at the same time has hope in it. And that's kind of to express the struggle of mental health inside him and his kind of tackles and how he struggles through it. So hopefully I've managed to express that in the theme. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the theme. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, always look forward, keep hope alive, and remember, you're somebody.